Hello. It is time for another thought for the day, and this thought for the day is coming from Seth again, talking about the eternal validity of the soul and other related topics. And he's talking through Jane Roberts. So, and this one is going to be maybe a little bit longer than usual, but it's about probable systems, men, and gods. In your daily life, at any given moment of time, you have a multitudinous choice of actions, some trivial and some of utmost importance. You may, for example, sneeze or not sneeze, cough or not cough, walk to the window or the door, scratch your elbow, save a child from drowning, learn a lesson, commit suicide, harm another, or turn your cheek. It seems to you that reality is composed of those actions that you choose to take. Those that you choose to deny are ignored. The road not taken then seems to be a non-act. Yet every thought is actualized, and every possibility is explored. Physical reality is constructed from what seems to be a series of physical acts. Since this is the usual criterion of reality for you, non-physical acts usually escape your notice, your discretion, and your judgment. They just don't exist. So let us take an example. You are reading this book when the telephone rings. A friend wants you to meet him at 5 o'clock. You stand considering. In your mind, you see yourself, A, saying no and staying home, B, saying no and going somewhere else instead, or C, saying yes and keeping the engagement. Now, all of these possible actions have a reality at that point. They're all capable of being actualized in physical terms. Before you make your decision, each of these probable actions are equally valid. You choose one of these, and by your decision, you make one event out of the three physical. This event is duly accepted as a portion of those happenings that compose your normal existence. The other probable actions, however, are as valid as they ever were, though you have not chosen to actualize them physically. They are carried out as effectively as the one you chose to accept. If there was a strong emotional charge behind one of the rejected probable actions, it may even have greater validity as an act than the one that you chose. All actions are initially mental acts, and this is the nature of reality. That sentence cannot be emphasized too thoroughly. All mental acts, therefore, are valid. They exist and they cannot be negated. Because you do not accept them all as physical events, you don't perceive their strength or durability. Your lack of perception cannot destroy their validity, however. If you wanted to be a doctor and are now in a different profession, then in some other probable reality, you are a doctor. If you have abilities that you're not using here, they are being used elsewhere. Now, again, these ideas may seem impossibly rich for your menial blood because of your propensity towards serial thought and three-dimensional attitudes. But these facts do not deny the validity of the soul. Instead, they add to it immeasurably. The soul can be described, for that matter, as a multidimensional, infinite act. Each minute, probability being brought somewhere into actuality and existence. An infinite creative act that creates for itself infinite dimensions in which fulfillment is possible. The tapestry of your own experience is such that the three-dimensional intellect just cannot behold it. These probable selves, however, are a portion of your identity or soul. And if you are out of contact with them, it's only because you focus on physical events and accept them as the criteria for reality. From any given point of your existence, however, you can glimpse other probable realities and sense the reverberations of probable actions beneath those physical decisions that you make. Some people have done this spontaneously, often in the dream state. Here, the rigid assumptions of normal waking consciousness often fade, and you can find yourself performing those physically rejected activities, never realizing that you have peered into a probable existence of your own. If there are individual probable selves, then of course there are probable Earths, all taking roads that you have not adopted. Beginning with an act of imagination in the waking state, you can sometimes follow for a short way into the road not taken. Go back to our man at the telephone mentioned earlier, and let's say that he tells his friend he will not go. At the same time, if he imagines that he took another alternative and agreed on the engagement, then he might experience a sudden rift of dimensions. If he's lucky and the circumstances are good, he might suddenly feel the full validity of his acceptance as strongly as if he had chosen it physically. Before he realizes what's happening, he might actually feel himself leave his home and embark upon those probable actions that physically he has chosen not to perform. For the moment, however, the full experience will rush upon him. Imagination will have opened the door and given him the freedom to perceive, but hallucination will not be involved. This is a simple exercise that can be tried in almost any circumstance, although solitude is important. Such an experiment will not carry you too far, however, and the probable self who has chosen the action that you denied is in important respects quite different from the self you know. Each mental act opens up a new dimension of actuality. In a manner of speaking, your slightest thought gives birth to worlds. This is not a dry metaphysical statement. It should arouse within you the strongest feelings of creativity and speculation. It is possible for any being to be sterile, for any idea to die, or any ability to go unfulfilled. Each probable system of reality, of course, then creates other such systems, and any one act realized brings forth an infinite number of unrealized acts that will also find their actualization. Now, all systems of reality are open. The divisions between them are arbitrarily decided upon as a matter of convenience, but they all exist simultaneously, and each one supports and adds to the other. So what you do is also reflected to some degree in the experience of your probable selves and vice versa. To the extent that you are open and receptive, you can benefit greatly by the various experiences of your probable selves and can gain from their knowledge and abilities. Quite spontaneously, again, you often do this in the dream state, and often what seems to you to be an inspiration is a thought experienced but not actualized on the part of another self. You tune in and actualize it instead. Ideas that you have entertained and not used may be picked up in the same manner by other probable yous. Each of these probable selves consider themselves to be the real you, of course, and to any one of them, you would be the probable self. But through the inner senses, all of you are aware of your part in this gestalt. The soul is not a finished product. In fact, it is not a product in those terms at all, but a process of becoming. All that is not a product, finished or otherwise either. There are probable gods as there are probable men. But these probable gods are all part of what you may call the soul of, or the identity of, all that is. Even as your probable selves are all a portion of your soul or entity. The dimensions of actuality possible to all that is, of course, far exceed those presently available to you. In a manner of speaking, you have created many probable gods through your own thoughts and desires. They become quite independent psychic entities, validities in other levels of existence. The one all that is aware not only of its own nature and of the nature of all consciousness, but it's also aware of its infinite probable selves. We go here towards subjects in which words become meaningless. The nature of all that is can only be sensed directly through the inner senses, or in a weaker communication through inspiration or maybe intuition. The miraculous complexity of such reality cannot be translated verbally. So as you go through your day, be aware of every fork in your personal day, every aspect of yourself that is making a decision. What are you deciding to do? What are you deciding to not do? Because they all are real. So enjoy your multidimensional self and make a great day with that. It's time to play in the fields of reality. Take care.